Well, the sun was out today, and so are the stars here at the Spikers Surf Invitational Conference as we welcome you back inside the Inares Sports Arena in Pasig for the continuation of our men's volleyball tournament. The Navigators Iloilo getting set to face the Criss Cross King Crunchers in our final match of this Sunday triple header. It happens right now here on One Sports Plus and on Pilipinas Live. Once again, Criss Cross versus the Navigators here on Signal TV. Good day to all our viewers. Tip Bianco on call for this match, joined by Ivy Remulla. Ivy, only a week of tournaments so far, but you've seen already an upset. And these two teams, we know that they split the series in the last open conference, so it should be a good one.
That's right. Expect that, of course. We all know that the Navigators are coming up from a loss, so definitely they would want to bounce back. But we all know that they're facing a very tough contender today.
Right. You mentioned Criss Cross King Crunchers off to a good start. Let's take a look at the team standings to give a clearer picture to our viewers of where these teams are at right now.
That's right. So on the top of the standings are Savoj and FEU with a very clean win-loss record right now. 3 wins for each of these teams, and we find now the Criss Cross Crunchers on third. This would be their second game right now. And just earlier today, of course, DLSU defeated Martelli in 3 sets, and this is the game before this. PGJC Navy Sea Lions lost against the younger FEU. So very strong FEU team we're seeing right now. But first, of course, is the Criss Cross Crunchers trying to get win number 2, but of course, the Iloilo Navigators would want to get their first win.
A couple of 3-setters earlier, as you mentioned. Find out if this one will be the same, or will Criss Cross or the Navigators extend this one. Let's talk about the King Crunchers in their previous game. We mentioned off to a flying start, won in straight sets, and of course, dismantling VNS in their first outing.
That's right. Pretty much an easy assignment for the Criss Cross King Crunchers when they went up against the VNS Griffins last October 16. As you mentioned, it was a 3-set win, and pretty much it was all about the Criss Cross King Crunchers. And what made it very challenging, of course, for VNS was the fact that the Criss Cross King Crunchers dominated the net. And look at that, 10 block points for the entire match. So it was something that made it difficult, for the attackers of VNS. They only produced 26 points out of the attacks. And what's important to note also here in this match is why we do not see any service aces in either of these teams. But for the King Crunchers, they put a lot of pressure from the service line, forcing only a 26% efficiency rate for the reception from VNS.
Yeah, good that you mentioned that part. Of course, Ivy Criss Cross putting on a block party early on in this tournament, and of course making it hard for VNS. And one of the guys that led the way is the reigning Open Conference MVP. Watch the throne, Jude Garcia is here to stay for the Criss Cross King Crunchers.
Well, I'm sure that Jude Garcia is definitely one of the marked men here for Criss Cross. He has performed very well in their opening match, and I think there's nothing less that we can expect from Jude Garcia. And with that first match, he was able to get 18 points, 16 from attacks, and 2 from blocking. So definitely a very, very consistent player.
Picked up from where he left off, Jude Garcia, coming from the beach volleyball scene a year ago and then transferring back to indoor. His first conference with Criss Cross, definitely a success, and he's looking forward to doing it another time, this time in his second conference. Let's talk about the other team this time, Ivy for the Navigators Iloilo. You mentioned they're coming off a loss, but they're coming off against the game against FEU. That's no joke. It's a collegiate team that's been playing well in our tournament.
That's right. It was a match that lasted in 4 sets. Actually, the Navigators had their moments. They were able to have opportunity to control the game. It's just that, the youngsters really, with I think a lot of stamina, a lot of agility, was able to overcome that in 4 sets. But what's important to see, when we look at the numbers for that match, we can see that the Navigators actually scored more in attacks, 54 attack points as compared to FEU's 52. A lot of the statistics are very, very close. Both had 8 blocks. The Navigators only had 1 service ace ahead of FEU, but it has been the errors that has cost the Navigators the game, and it's also the timing, when these errors were committed, that made the Navigators lose that match.
Right, so the record right now as it stands, 1 win and 1 loss. Some changes for them in the roster, but another guy that's back with their team is Edward Camposano. More reps for him, more chances, especially that we know Francis Sauro has transferred to the other side, which is the Criss Cross King Crunchers.
Yes, right. Edward Camposano really worked very hard in that last game. A very consistent game for Edward. He was really one of those go-to persons, and especially when it comes to attack. 15 points scored in that game against FEU, 13 attack points and 2 blocks. So definitely a lot is going to be expected from him as they go up against a very strong team today.
He's looking forward for this matchup against the King Crunchers, so we'll find out how he will perform in this game today for the Navigators Iloilo. Let's bring in our third member of the broadcast team, our courtside reporter, Mika Abisamis, for this Pilipinas live question. Go ahead, Mika.
All right, as usual, we'd like to include you in our conversation through our Pilipinas Live app and, of course, our hashtag, which is SpikersTurf 2024, through our Facebook and Instagram pages. And today, we are going to have a tough question for our strong contenders, and that is which team will control the net. Once again, that is which team will control the net. And you can do that through our hashtag, which is SpikersTurf 2024, through our Facebook and our Instagram pages. Now, it's going to be Signal versus the Navigators sa pagbabalik ng SpikersTurf 2024.
Back inside the Inares Sports Arena in Pasig for the continuation of our Spikers Turf Invitational Conference. Nico Almendras and the Criss Cross King Crunchers moments away from their second match in the tournament as they are set to face the Navigators Iloilo. You saw Isay Marasigan as well, Ish Polvorosa doing their warm-ups in their blue jerseys. On the other side, in their dark red or maroon jerseys for the Navigators Iloilo. They are coming off a loss, as we discussed in their pregame, against a hot FEU team who is on a 3-game winning streak. Let's turn you over to our announcer for the start of this match.
Presenting our national officials of this match. First referee, Mr. Bobby Celso. Second referee, Mr. Fernando Velarde. Let us meet the starters. First, for the Criss Cross King Crunchers. Let's start with jersey number 1, Nico Almendras. Wearing jersey number 5, Jude Garcia. At number 7, Rex Intal. Jersey number 9, Adrian Villados. Number 11, Francis Saura. At number 16, Guillermo Glorioso. Starting libero is number 18, John Philip Pepito. With our head coach, Mr. Anuson Tabunde. Introducing the starting lineup for the Navigators Iloilo. Let's start with their team captain at number 3, Kim Diadante. Wearing jersey number 2, Kyle Villamor. At number 7, JB Sumagaysay. Number 11, Edward Camposano. Jersey number 18, Mads Gampong. At 25, Vince Himzon. Starting libero is number 17, John Maru Takeda. With their head coach, Mr. Rizalito Del Moro. This is match number 14, preliminary rounds between Criss Cross and the Navigators.
Let's check out the starters for the Criss Cross King Crunchers. Francis Saura, Gian Glorioso, Nico Almendras, Jude Garcia, Rex Intal, Adrian Villados will make a start here alongside Pepito, their libero. For the other side, for the Navigators, you have Gampong, Sumagaysay, Villamor, Camposano, Himzon, Dayan Dante, and Takeda as their libero. So we're all set for this match. Some changes for both squads, especially for the Criss Cross King Crunchers. We know that Kim Malabunga suffered an injury in their first game. So Gian Glorioso enters the starting lineup for Criss Cross. And Villados will also be their starting setter. On the other side, almost same guys for the Navigators. But their setter will be Dayan Dante. He came off the bench last time around as first point goes to the King Crunchers.
And I think what's going to be interesting here is a former member of the Navigator squad is now on the other side of the net. And we're talking about Francis Saura.
That's a huge loss for the Navigators.
That's
if
right.
We're talking about his impact in the game, of how he performed last conference, where the Navigators finished 4th place. As Gampong will put them on the board. Villamor has been good for the Navigators in his first match for them. Had 21 points, was limited to only 7 in that game against FEU. 1-1 to start this one. Saura is rejected by his former teammates. And the Navigators take the lead.
And this is a good start for the Navigators. So we have to remember that at the early on in the part of this tournament, these teams would want to rake in as much wins as they can. We only play 8 games in total.
Yeah.
And only top 4 teams will be moving on to the next round. So that's how important it is, you know, that you get as much wins as you can as possible.
That one is out and wide for Camposano. They are contemplating whether they would challenge or not, but they don't. As Glorioso is getting ready to serve for the King Crunchers. This is his second conference as well in the Spikers turf. And with Criss Cross, Sumagaysay flies and scores.
Sumagaysay has also performed very well in their last game against FEU. Is the second highest scorer, if I'm not mistaken. The other double-digit scorer for the Navigators.
14 points. As you mentioned, the second leading scorer right behind Camposano, who had 15, whom we talked about at the top of the coverage. Villado sets up the play, and Garcia is blocked. So a couple of rejections early on for the Navigators.
And this is what you want to see here from the Navigators. Again, we know that Criss Cross is a very strong blocking team, but the Navigators is showing that this is what they can do as well.
Criss Cross had 10 in their game against VNS, while the Navigators had 8 as a team. But a service error committed by JV Sumagaysay brings the lead down to 1. Newest King Cruncher with a serve. Camposano scores. And it puts the lead back up to 2.
Good kill off the block.
These two teams split their series last open conference. Criss Cross winning the elimination round. And if you remember, the Navigators winning that semi-finals bout as they continue to score here and build on a 3-point lead.
So they've been working on scoring points from the block of the King Crunchers. Another point off the block.
This time coming from Gampong, who serves but sends it straight to the net.
Two service errors already here for the Navigators.
2024 Open Conference MVP, Jude Garcia, serving 4-6. Good receive. A tip sent back. They go to the middle. To the Andante. Camposano goes long and it scores.
Another point off the hands of the blockers. Well, this could be a strategy for the attackers of the side of the Navigators. Again, a very strong blocking team they're coming up against with right now. Very high hands.
Very aggressive to start this match. Villados goes back row to Jude. The tip. Oh, kept alive. Still playable. Villados goes back to Jude. And the Navigators scrappy with their defense, keeping the ball up. Another one, third try. And still nothing. Oh, the Navigators playing excellent defense, but Villados says enough is enough.
Good decision there. His attackers are not able to get the kill. So why not get it for yourself?
Yeah, changing things up is their setter.
Well, that did get the defense of the Navigators by surprise. But a good defense or good sequence there for both of these teams.
Coming from the best setter back in his collegiate days. Tim Zon will send us to the first technical timeout. The Navigators up by 3.
if you're still watching the Spikers Turf 2024, the D Navigators management and coaching staff believe that this is the strongest lineup since they joined the Spikers Turf. Added Himzon, Haleco, Barbie, and Ramones, because of which their practices are expected to be hard, aggressive, and so far so good in that aspect. But so far, Sir Mike Sabichana, he was not yet satisfied with what he saw on the court despite having 1 win and 1 close loss. He said, hindi yan ang performances ng gusto mag-podium. I was surprised to see different people on the court on those 2 games compared to the practices. There was a big issue of complacency and impatience, he said. Today, though, he told the boys that an upset against Criss Cross would make them forget those 2 performances. But they need to regroup and let their good blocking system come out, a system they are known for as well, as you mentioned, Ivy. They did a tune-up against NU, a team with towering blockers as well, in preparation for the huge King Crunchers. That match didn't go their way, but learned a lot in 5 sets, leading to today's match, as we can see. Dip and Ivy.
Thank you, Mika, for that report. How important is it to sort of simulate, have that tune-up game with a similar team na pareho yung playing style,
well,
Ivy?
that's very important, you know, so you get a feel, you know, of what you're going to do inside the court. And I think we've seen it naman, you know, a lot of points has been scored off the hands of the blockers, and they've been, the attacks of the Navigators, makita mo, no, quite different from how it was when they went up against, siguro yung last game nila against FEU.
Faced NU in that tune-up, as mentioned by Mika. Number of NU alumni as well in the Navigators team. And right now they're up by 4. I like what was mentioned as well by Mika in her report. The coach believes this is the strongest lineup. And they can't be complacent. I mean, they lost against FEU. I guess sometimes when you face a collegiate team, may tendency to be like, okay, kaya natin to, but that's not what happened.
Well, it was pretty much a close game, you know. It's just that, I think, more than anything, it was the errors lang naman talaga of the Navigators that cost them that game. But I think otherwise, you know, if they were able to minimize that, they could have stretched that game and could have even probably won it.
That one too long for Glorioso, but at the same time, we don't want to underestimate FEU. They're playing so well.
Yes, I do agree. They are playing very well. They're playing with a lot of confidence, you know, and I think they have the goal, you know, they're clear with what goal they want.
Yeah. Missing out on the semifinals last time they joined the Invitational Conference. They had a good record in the eliminations last year. So they're hoping to go even further this time around.
And this is definitely a good experience, you know, for the young squad.
Yeah.
All the young teams that are competing here today.
In preparation for other leagues as well. When the UAAP comes early next year, Kim Dayandante with a service error. 3 service errors already for the Navigators. So almost half of the points of Criss Cross coming from those errors. Almendras also a new addition to this Criss Cross squad. Saura will be the one to set. Then Garcia will score.
Strong down the line hit by Jude Garcia.
Eight serving 11. Villamor! What a hit!
That deserves a replay. Let's take a look at that attack from Villamor. Excellent swing. Look at that elevation.
Back to a 4-point game. That one is in for Kyle Villamor. So back-to-back points coming from their new player out of San Sebastian. Another good serve. Better reception. That goes through. And it drops for Jude Garcia. Glorioso serving. Oh, misreceived. This will end up as a broken play, a free ball. Criss Cross almost not getting to that. But Garcia making sure they get the point. Then Dante tosses. Camposano is blocked. The combo of Saura and Intal denying that one. 3 straight points for the King Crunchers, which forces the Navigators to call for time.
Pag may pasa, mayroong papaluin. Ha? Yun, outside yun, nandito. Kaya mo yan. Trabaho lang. Tiwala lang.
Ito pa yung open spiker, delay ang palo kapag out of system. No, so timing tayo sa block, no, tapos present tayo sa depensa. Okay. Go. Let's go. Hey, Davi! Go!
Timeout called by the Navigators as we take a look at this previous play.
So this was the block from Criss Cross. Quite surprising now. We didn't see that earlier in the match.
I think it's the first
that's right.
clear block. I see the fans of the King Crunchers. You heard from the timeout, Assistant Coach Benok Ancheta chiming in, saying na yung ginagawa ni Jude Garcia na nagde-delay ng kanyang atake.
That's right.
So, have to time their blocks appropriately. It's their turn to attack, and another rejection. And just like that, the lead is down to 1.
Back-to-back block points here for the King Crunchers. Probably they heard we were looking for the blocks. Wala pa din blocking eh.
I mean, hype namin kayo kanina ng pregame eh. 10 blocks. Where was that? Right now they have 2. Glorioso continues to serve. Pinasok na si San Andres to change things up for the Navigators. So not even the athleticism of Jude Garcia could do anything about that play.
So it's still a 2-point advantage here for the Navigators. So far they're doing well in trying to keep that advantage.
Pinahinga muna si Kyle Villamor.
Well, he has been the target for the services.
Right. Villados back sets Saura. Then Dante says, I know how you hit. But Jude will score for Criss Cross and bring the lead back down to 1.
Powerful hit there by Jude Garcia. In the meantime, you have a 2-man substitution for the King Crunchers. Isay Marasigan comes in with Ish Polvorosa.
Ish did not see action in that game against VNS. Marasigan, meanwhile, came off the bench as well. Camposano targets Garcia, avoids the blockers and scores.
Good angle chosen by Camposano. We've seen the variety of his attacks. A lot of it was able to avoid the blockers. A lot of sharp cross-court hits.
Adjusted, especially after that block coming from Intal.
Oh, good save.
It's kept alive. Back with Criss Cross. Combination! And an inadvertent facial on Takeda off the bounce.
Let's take a look at that combination play once again. Marasigan, no blockers going up against him.
Oh, he is hyped. Then Dante gives it back to Camposano. Pinadaan lang.
Oh, but a net violation error on Camposano.
Made the right play. The ball hit the antenna, but let's see this one. Yun.
There you go. He hit the net first before the ball hit the antenna.
Well, we have a deadlock in this set number 1 after the Navigators led by as many as 5. Amposano picked up by Pepito. Polvorosa, back row to Jude. And the lead for the Criss Cross King Crunchers to send us to the second technical timeout. And the score, 16-15. Back inside the Inares Sports Arena, you see the crowd inside the venue for this Sunday triple header. 2 games down as we take a look at the tournament format. Ivy kindly explained to our viewers how this one will go. Just a refresher of this tournament.
That's right. For the preliminary round, we have these 10 teams going in single round robin. That's why we mentioned that they have at least 8 games. And only the top 4 teams will be moving over to the semifinal round with another single round robin. But in the semifinals, they will be joined by a guest team. So and only the top 2 teams will then advance to the finals and compete for the gold medal.
It's always interesting when we get to that point where a new team comes and challenges the teams who have played in the eliminations. So
that's right,
that's
because they haven't played with that team, you know, so that's a surprise element. So probably this team has been watching all of them play.
Yeah.
But none of them has played against the guest team, so that's always been interesting to watch. And that is why we've been mentioning that all of the wins for these teams are very important early on. You know, as much as possible, you try to get as much wins as you can in the early part of the tournament, because only 4 teams will be advancing to the next round.
Hirap kung maghahabol ka sa dulo.
Correct, tama.
And hope for some losses from your opponents. Meanwhile, there's a challenge on the floor. The first one coming from Criss Cross. They're asking for a block touch challenge. But the score right now, after the technical timeout, the Navigators responding and tying things up at 16 all. Coach Ty Bundit, good first conference. First runners up in the last 2024 Open Conference where they faced Signal in the finals. And by the way, what a game last Friday. Signal going down in 5 sets against Savage Spin Doctors.
That could be history, you know. Yeah, that's a big win, definitely. So this is the replay. Was there a block touch?
The slightest of touches, but there is indeed a block touch. So it's a successful challenge for Criss Cross. Point awarded. And the lead back to the blue shirts. Rex Incal will be the one to serve. Oh, misreceived by Camposano. The bump, San Andres will work with it.
Oh, good save.
Oh, Adao.
Adao.
Great coverage. Unfortunately, not enough height to keep the ball alive.
That was really a very good coverage because siya na yung humabol ng bola sa labas na siya pa rin nakakuha nung coverage.
Sayang yun. 2-point game. Checked. Second try and San Andres won't be denied.
Right over the blockers.
She went to the left corner. Papawi. Si Nico Almendras.
19 serving 17. Isay Marasigan now at the service line.
The captain for the Criss Cross King Crunchers. And Dante goes to San Andres. This time, Polvorosa with the erasure.
Villamorno comes back in for the Navigators.
Kailangan.
Oh, an adding extra height there inside.
2 points for Villamor, who started this game out. But the Navigators trailing by 3 points. They were leading at the first part of this set. It was 13-8 before Criss Cross went on a scoring run. Ish goes to Glorioso. Kept alive. Easy over. Redo. Marasigan this time. Down the line. And the lead at its biggest for the King Crunchers with 4.
Powerful hit by Isay Marasigan. Let's take a look at that attack once again. Going down the line, full swing. But that was actually there, but it was just too strong.
Yeah. 21-17. Dayan Dante goes to Villamor. Just long and wide. And Coach Del Moro is forced to call his final timeout in hopes of saving this set number 1.
Pwede tayo magpatama kung hindi kaya. Tapos reset lang tayo ulit. Nag-ensayo naman tayo eh. Madali tayo, huwag na madaliin. Madali tayo eh.
Dahan-dahan. Tsaga. Isa.
Kumpiyansa tayo sa ginagawa natin. Tapos kung hindi kaya dalhin sa akin sa harapan, okay lang naman kahit sa B-pass sa gitna. Tapos ano lang tayo, pwede yung rebound nga ang sinasabi ha. Ganun lang. Tsaga. Hey, Nabi! Go!
So I think it's pretty obvious what it's making it difficult for the Navigators to score the points here. So they're very much bothered by the blocking of the King Crunchers.
Yeah. You heard the middle blocker, JV Sumagaysay, saying you don't have to force to avoid yung blockers. Pwede naman ipadaan.
Right. And that has actually worked for them at the start of the set. You know, a lot of the points they got were actually off the hands of the blockers. So they're not trying to challenge the blocking of Criss Cross too much. But they were able to use it to their advantage.
That's what Camposano was able to do a couple of times earlier, but the blocking continues. Party ongoing for the Criss Cross King Crunchers and a 6-point advantage.
It has been a block party here for Criss Cross.
Oh, that was Gian Glorioso with the emphatic block. And Criss Cross all of a sudden have 5 blocks already here in set 1.
That's already half the output that they had in their first game. And we're only here at the first set. Good pass.
Another one. This time picked up by the Navigators. Almendras tried to play it smart. Wasn't able to do just that. And Glorioso with another point to put Criss Cross at set point. (24 serving 18). Almendras on deck. Sumagaysay, that's picked up by Marasigan. Chance here for the King Crunchers, not yet. That is outside. And set one goes to the King Crunchers. But hold on, because there is a block touch challenge first. The Navigators hoping that this swings their way to delay this set one win of Criss Cross.
Well, this could be opportunity for the Navigators if they win the challenge. But it seems like, well, doesn't seem like any of the Criss Cross players are admitting to a block touch.
Well, there was also a change in setters on the side of the Navigators. John Wayne Aranyo from Letran replacing Kim Dante.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of service aces, but I think, you know, Criss Cross has been doing the same thing also, like in their first game at the service line. You know, a lot of pressure from the service line. We've seen that in the last timeout, narinig natin, di ba, sabi ni Dayan dati na kahit hindi nyo maihatid sa akin, dito lang. So they're really having struggles with the first ball as well. So kaya nahihirapan din sila sa kanilang atake.
Kumbaga, what he was really saying was that the service has been good for Criss Cross.
That's right.
Games on Wednesday will happen still here on the United Sports Arena in Pasig. It will be Signal versus Martelli Meets for the first one at 4 p.m. And then the Navigators will face the PGJC Navy Sea Lions. So these are games that we're looking forward to seeing. But right now, the action is between Criss Cross and the Navigators. Earlier today, a couple of matches played, as we mentioned, with LaSalle getting their first win against Martelli Meets and FEU defeating PGJC Navy. So let's find out what they will talk about here.
Point is awarded to Criss Cross. There was no touch.
So officially, set one goes to the Criss Cross King Crunchers. So we'll give you set number 2 when we come back here on One Sports Plus.
And the Criss Cross King Crunchers was able to steal set number 1, 25-18. The Navigators had a good start. They were actually leading in the start of the set. But when the King Crunchers were able to get the momentum, and there was no turning back. It was at some point in 13. The Navigators scored 13, the Criss Cross Crunchers at 9. And with 4 consecutive points with a back-to-back block, that was the starting point wherein the Criss Cross Crunchers did not look back. Talagang tuloy-tuloy na ang pagpunto. So the Navigators had some challenges in trying to penetrate the block. They became very conscious about it as we take a look at the numbers for set number 1. King Crunchers, Criss Cross King Crunchers with 13 attacks and 5 blocks again. So 5 is, we've been talking about how well the King Crunchers have been blocking. They've shown that this is what they can do. And because of this 5 blocks, talagang naging mas naging careful itong the Navigator sa kanilang mga atake. So in terms of errors, again, it's this the Navigators with 7 free points given away to the King Crunchers. So I think this is one of the areas talaga na kailangang tignan din ito ng the Navigators. So the errors that they commit. Because in the last game, the last game that they had in FEU, yung errors ang naging factor also why they lost the game. If you look at all the numbers, magkalapit lang din. So that means that both teams are in equal footing. But again, the errors, when they commit it, it's been a big factor para dito sa the Navigators.
And you can't afford to get a lot of those, especially when you're facing Criss Cross.
Right.
Has been playing well with their stint here in the Spikers turf. Looking for their second win of the Invitational Conference. And Coach Ty Bundit will start off with Marasigan, Glorioso, Almendras, Garcia, Intal, and Polvorosa for the second set. And for the Navigators, we see the insertion of Haleko, who saw limited action in their last game, but will be given some minutes. And Coach Del Moro hoping for a spark off the bench. So we are set to begin the second frame here inside the Inare Sports Arena. Thank you for joining us on One Sports Plus and on Pilipinas Live. Dip Dipianco together with Ivy Remulla. Calling this match, Mika Bisamis will give us a report later on. And we start off with another big block coming from Gian Glorioso. Two blocks already. And 1 attack point for a total of 3 for Gian Glorioso. Papawi si Mads Gampong. So Gampong has 5 markers already.
So he's leading the Navigators with, in terms of points, Camposano has 4.
And Polvorosa feeds Glorioso once more.
Good activation of the middle blockers here for the side of the King Crunchers.
4 points on 4 attacks for Almendras. Pepito right there to save it. Garcia kept alive. Ish. Not the best connection there. Transfers back to the Navigators. Gian keeps it up. Marasigan. Popped up by Adao. Ball in play, but it ends with another rejection. Look at that. Oh, Glorioso, so active. All of a sudden has 5 points. Trying to feed the hot hand. And how do you stop that?
Another block from the King Crunchers. So the Navigators are still trying to figure out, paano ba nila malalagpasan o palulusutin dun sa mga blockers ng King Crunchers.
Ayun na sagot. Ilag mo na talaga, but that one just too wide for Mads Gampong.
But he was convinced there was a touch from the block. Oh yes, and then King Crunchers admitted to the touch.
Oh, Glorioso, his numbers so far in this game.
6 points now for Glorioso. 2 attack points and 4 block points.
And one honesty play when he said that he touched the ball a while ago. This
Well,
time,
you have to count that too,
Oo,
you know,
kasama
diba?
rin yan.
Kasama dapat yun.
Polvorosa liking that connection with Glorioso.
And Glorioso service for King Crunchers.
It's long for him. What's a 2-point lead for Criss Cross?
Serve for the Navigators. Hands.
Ish goes to Jude. Garcia up high and down fast.
Excellent connection we're seeing here from King Crunchers. Garcia flying high. In between the blockers na pinadaan yung kanyang palo.
Marasigan will send that long on a service error. So lead still at 2 for the King Crunchers. Polvorosa sets up Intal. They set it over. Ish on the 1-2. Read perfectly by Gambong. Haleko will try. Nothing there. Intal. Bit of a missed time there. And the point for Mads Gambong.
A lot of intensity that we're seeing on the side of the Navigators.
We're seeing a lot of variations, really trying to avoid what has been a lot of blocks for Criss Cross. Garcia, another one. .75 is the score here in set 2. Oh, that's way short. And that hit the back of Almendras. That's gotta hurt.
3 service errors now for the King Crunchers.
Second try, Almendras.
Trying to be creative in that attack.
Might have felt the effects of that hit from the service.
Malakas pa naman ang braso nitong si Jude Garcia.
Sakit yun. Ako nga kanina, nung pre-game, off the post. Masakit na ito,
Masakit,
diretso.
oo.
Oh, and another
Was there a
attacker.
touch?
But let's see if this will be a successful challenge. Yep.
Sumagaysay admits to the touch.
So that will be point awarded to Criss Cross, which brings us to the first technical timeout. They're up 8-7.
you're still watching the Spikers Turf 2024. According to the players of Criss Cross, they have already absorbed 80 to 90% of the system of Coach Tai. So I asked, do you feel like Coach Tai agrees that his system has been 80 to 90% infused? They said, well, based on his facial expression, mukhang oo naman, as they barely hear much from him. And speaking of his few words, though, they have heard some compliments from Coach Tai at the start of this conference, especially in terms of the consistency of every position, how everybody is connecting. But one thing that caught their attention this week was that win of Savoj against Signal. That match sent a huge message to stronger contenders like Criss Cross that, hey, the targets on our backs are closer this conference. Dip and Ivy.
Thank you, Mika, for that report. Well, if 80 to 90% pa lang to, paano pa pag nag-100?
Oo.
Diba?
Imagine that. But I think that loss of Signal, no, parang it wasn't only Signal that was shaken, but everybody else here in the tournament was shaken by that loss.
That early in the conference, you would think that, of course, the champions from the last conference would be in full form, but Savoj also showing what they can do, and Almendras showing what he can do. Last UAAP season 86. Second best outside hitter. Three-point lead for Criss Cross.
Not a lot of activation going on the middles of the Navigators. In their last game, very hot hands ang kanilang mga middle blockers.
And so far, not much connection with those middles. They go to Villamor. Ball into the stands. And a point for the Navigators. 3 points now for Kyle Villamor. Ish. To Glorioso again. So Glorioso now has a total of 8 points. Only had 2 in the first set. But again, has picked up the pace here in the second with 6 in total.
And Ish Polvorosa really trying to spike up his confidence, talagang binibigyan niya eh. And he has been scoring well as that.
Polvorosa this time goes to Almendras. Saved by Gampong. Play continues. Back with the Navigators. Back row for Camposano. Almendras with a read. Third try. Gampong is blocked. Ricochets off of his head. Glorioso having the game of his life so far here in the Spikers Turf.
Another excellent block.
That's 5 blocks now. And 4 attack points.
Last touch from the King Crunchers.
Nine to 13 is the official score. Isay. Popped up by Dayan Dante. Here comes Gampong. Ish. Back row to Jude. Garcia.
Literally flying in that last attack.
So strong with that hit. And it's hard to stop.
Look at that. That's slow-mo, by the way.
Kailangan pa siguro i-adjust ng mga 5 times.
Parang siya may pakpak doon, no?
Grabe.
The elevation. Talagang naka-inverted C yung katawan niya eh.
Attack error for Camposano. And a 6-point lead for the King Crunchers. We're cruising slowly here in set number 2.
Serving
15-9. And the service ace. The first in this game. And in the Invitational Conference for Criss Cross as they bring us to the second technical timeout. Back inside the United Sports Arena as you take a look at some of the former volleyball players of the UAAP, both in UP and Ateneo, as well as some basketball players. Let's read some tweets over on Spiker Surf at RanDave12. OA ng talon ni Jude Garcia, pakagaan ng katawan, kaloka. Hashtag Spiker Surf 2024. At 8 Thoughts Carlos says, ang likot ni Glorioso pero effective naman. Which is what he has been showing. Ish Polvorosa from XOXO Marahuyo says, in his magic bunot era, kaloka ulit. Lahat nakakaloka for Criss Cross. Naloloka sila sa pinapakita. Ang gaganda ng sets. That's been a Blue Eagle connection for the King Crunchers.
Well, they have been playing very well, very consistent. And I think what we haven't seen yet is how consistent the first ball of the King Crunchers are. So kung mapapansin nyo, si Ish actually halos hindi na gumagalaw dun sa harap ng net. In the meantime, there's a net touch challenge.
Isay Marasigan clarifying with the first referee. Right now, it's a 7-point lead for Coach Tai Bundit and the King Crunchers.
It seemed like the ball touched the net.
Yeah. So no net violation. An unsuccessful challenge for Criss Cross. A free ball. Taken advantage of by Edward Camposano. That is way short for Sumagaysay. Not what they need. Trailing by 6 points. Pemi Bagalay will replace Gian Glorioso. His first entry in this game for Criss Cross. Talking about Pemi Bagalay.
Pemi Bagalay, serving for Criss Cross.
That's off the block.
And that's how the Navigators were getting their points early on in set number 1. So probably, try to switch back the game plan. How they were able to do that at the start of the match.
Bubunot na rin si Coach Del Moro. Fielding in Steven Santa Maria. Had 4 points off the bench against FEU. Polvorosa goes to Jude. That's going to be a point for Garcia.
Jude Garcia, really just amazing to look at every time he goes up for that attack.
6-point lead, timeout for the Navigators, Iloilo.
Usap-usap lang kayo sa ano. Malayo pa yan. Malayo pa yan. Kapitan nyo lang. Kapit lang kayo. Kapit lang. Dapat yung kakbo mo. Dapat tuwa mo. Outside. Oo. Tara. Sabay. Sagala mo na. Sagay nyo.
Well, that timeout obviously just to break the momentum of the King Crunchers.
Isay Marasigan will serve for the King Crunchers.
Oh, good
save
pickup.
by Pepito. Back row for Almendras. Santa Maria bumps it on a free ball. Intal with a classic runner. Look at that hang time from Rex Intal. Mananyo back sets. Naiabot. Second try for the Navigators. Camposano on the cover. One hand set by Aranyo.
Excellent play from the Navigators.
And the put away by Vince Himzon.
The connection definitely was there. Take a look at that once again.
Marasigan responds right away. Barry San Andres replaces Camposano. Criss Cross 5 points away from taking a 2-set advantage. Point awarded to Criss Cross. That was going to be a point either way, with Almendras putting it away and that net violation. The Navigators with their final timeout here in set 2.
Guys. Malayo pa yan. Okay, bibitaw. Kapit lang. Dikit nyo. Dikit. Come on, usap-usap lang kayo sa dalawa. Tara. Dikit. Tayo, Ben. Go. Okay. Right. Focus. Tabi. Go. Layo pa.
Well, nothing really much said over the timeout, but definitely just, for them to get a little breather.
Yeah.
And again, break the momentum of the King Crunchers, who has been playing very well. Probably may konting sabik dito kasi ang tagal ng huling game nila, diba?
Yeah.
So, going back, so I'm sure that they're very eager to perform and to play.
On opening day, that was October 16, 11 days after. So I'm sure they've prepared a lot and were eager to get back on the Taraflex. Meanwhile, there's a net touch challenge on the floor. And the Navigators hoping to get a point in every way they could against a team that has been hard to stop. Criss Cross led by Glorioso with 9 points in total. Jude Garcia also has 9. Almendras has 8. So those are the guys who have been doing the damage for the King Crunchers. On the other side, Mads Gampong in double digits with 10. And Camposano with 5 points. But it hasn't been enough for the Navigators in Iloilo.
That's right. So they're having a hard time really on how to score the points. And they haven't really been creating as much opportunities for themselves as compared to the King Crunchers. But then again, there's that strong net defense. So parang talagang ang hirap eh. You know, it's really hard to get a good play to be set up by the side of the Navigators. So that's why we haven't seen much action doon sa kanilang mga middle attackers. So very, very rare na nabibigyan sila ng bola.
Or they took what they could in the first set, where when Criss Cross wasn't really getting their blockings correctly yet. And then towards the latter part of set 1, simula ng set 2, nakita natin their net defense it has picked up.
It's like, you know, parang binasa muna nila yung atake ng the Navigators. So they were able to adjust, you know, in mid-game. And after that, nung nakapag-adjust nila sa kanilang net defense, wala na, hirap nang hirap nang i-penetrate ng the Navigators ang blocking.
We're still waiting for the call here on the net touch challenge. The Navigators Iloilo calling that one.
So this is going to be an important point, of course, if it goes the way of the Navigators. So very comfortable lead being enjoyed here by the King Crunchers.
Sabi ko sa'yo, dito natin namimiss yung music na yung temp.
Ikaw na lang yung ayun. Pwede namang ikaw eh.
Wow. Yung next challenge. Promise.
Next challenge na ikaw
Almendras, did he touch the net?
Seemed like there was no touch. It was clear. So the point. So this is this in favor now of the King Crunchers.
3 points away from winning set 2. It's 22 serving 13 with Jude Garcia on deck to serve. Aranio sets up the play.
Good combination play, and that is what we like to see on the side of the Navigators. More opportunities to create for a combination attacks, and normally, you know, they're successful with those kinds of plays.
Santa Maria getting that one. Vin Simson serving. They're down by 8. Polvorosa. Tuisay. Back row hit.
There's a challenge on the play for the Navigators. Foot fault.
The Navigators will call for a challenge. Once more. Foot fault naman.
Ayan na. Challenge na. Ito na. Pwede na palang kahit wala na tayong kaya na ni Dip to eh.
Kaya nila pinatay kasi.
Para sa'yo talaga to.
Alam nilang si Dip yung magkuko. Here we go. They're asking for a foot fault.
Was there a foot fault?
Oh, that's pretty clear.
No safe. And I think at this point, you know, the Navigators are just trying to get whatever they can. Because they really need as much points as they can here. This is really a long climb for them. I mean, it's not impossible, but with the way that the King Crunchers are playing, it's going to be very difficult for the Navigators to get back into the game.
They're also back on the floor. It's Intal serving.
Pass is good.
Aleko. Kept up by the Navigators. Aleko again. And rejected at the net. Meet you upstairs. Ish Polvorosa puts Criss Cross at set point.
Aleko just not reaching high enough in that for his attack.
They go to Sumagaysay. Aleco with the coverage. Aranio transfers. Santa Maria. Dug up by Marasigan. Jude.
Oh, good pickup there by Adao.
And it's still playable. Long rally alert. No, but Sumagaysay coming up short.
Yeah, but that was a good play, though, from the Navigators.
That's how we end set number 2. King Crunchers enjoying themselves out there. Both teams being scrappy, defending. In the end, Sumagaysay with that attack error to bring us to the end of set number 2. Criss Cross 1 set away from winning this match. Back inside the United Sports Arena for the continuation of the coverage between the Criss Cross King Crunchers and the Navigators. Iloilo, let's take a look at the highlights. Same thing, but this time a better start for Criss Cross in set
That's
number
right.
2.
A very strong start for the King Crunchers in the second set. I think it's pretty much parang hindi na binigyan ng pagkakataon ng the Navigators, to get their bearings together, to compose themselves, reorganize. Talagang the King Crunchers took advantage of the fact that nagkakaroon ng konting struggle itong the Navigators in set number 2. And we take a look at the numbers. In all of the different aspects, it has all been the King Crunchers attacks, the blocks, the serves. But what's good about the second set is both of these teams managed to reduce the number of errors. So 5 is good for the Navigators. Magandang reduction yan from the former set. But it's just that they're not able to make any production naman. So sayang din yung pag-minimize ng kanilang errors.
Right. And again, Criss Cross, they're blocking. Same with set 1, 5 blocks. Remember, the output that they had in the previous game, yung 10 na yun, ito nagawa nila in 2 sets.
In 2 sets, that's right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Arena Plus, astig sa sports.
And it's just make special mention, ng ating mga top scorers for both of these teams. For the King Crunchers, we have Lorioso and Garcia, both with 9 points, followed by Almendras with 8, Marasigan with 6, and Intal with 3. On the other side of the court, for the Navigators, it's Gampong, the lone double-digit scorer in the match so far, with 10 points. Camposano with 5, Villamor with 3, and Sumagaysay and San Andres both with 1 point. So, dito pala sa scores ng the Navigators, we can see that they're really not able to create a lot of opportunities to convert their attacks.
Yeah.
So, mababa itong production na to para sa mga players na nasa floor ngayon eh. Like, for example, Camposano has always been one of the more consistent players for the Navigators.
Correct.
But after 2 sets, is only able to produce 5 points.
Now you're talking about a guy who scored 15 points last game. Villamor had 21 in their first game. So they're capable of scoring in bunches, pero kulang pa. And even the middles, you mentioned this a while ago, Ivy, hindi nila ma-activate.
Right.
But you look at Criss Cross, their top scorer is a middle blocker. So just goes to show how the story has been so far as we begin set number 3 with a Criss Cross point. Nico Almendras will head to the service line.
Nico Almendras,
Camposano. That's more, they like it.
And he loves that angle, you know, he loves those sharp angles, cross-court hits. He actually has the capability of avoiding the blockers. So kaya niya yung mga ganung klaseng sharp angles.
This time they're gonna go with Aranio as the setter to start this set. Quick response from Isay Marasigan. 2-1 is the score. Glorioso and his numbers so far, 9 points, 4 attacks, and 5 blocks. We mentioned at the top of the coverage, Kim Malabunga, not able to play, suffered an injury during the warm-ups of their conference opener, which is why other guys have had to step up in that position. And Vince Simzon will get a point for the Navigators.
Oh, that was way long.
Free point for Criss Cross. Isay off the bench. 7 points. Camposano, easy over-ish with a 1-2. Knew exactly where to put that one. Four to 2 is the score. Aranio back set, so single block. Garcia erasing that one.
Garcia was just waiting in position there.
Basang-basa niya.
Probably a combination would have worked better there for the Navigators.
Camposano had to double step. Another defensive stop for the King Crunchers, and blocking continues for Criss Cross.
12 block points already for the King Crunchers. Well, good intention there for Camposano. It's just that basang-basa lang talaga eh. Nabasa lang talaga ng King Crunchers.
That was Rex Intal with denial. This time he is able to score off the block.
That's actually how they started off the match.
Yeah.
You know, the string of points that they scored in their attacks are off the hands of the blockers. So probably, you know, that's one thing that they can try and utilize once again.
Oh, going back to that timeout they had, wherein Kim Dayandante was talking about the reception as well. Pero yung blocking niya, sabi ni Sumagaysay, hindi naman kailangan ng ilag eh. Kayang gawan ng paraan.
That's right. Oh, that was an excellent play.
Need more of that for the Navigators, showing some signs of life here in set number 3. Things they weren't able to really execute in the first 2 sets.
King Crunchers not really expecting that quick play.
Down it goes for Jude Garcia. There we go to the first technical timeout. Criss Cross up by 4.
Wednesday,
Back at the Inara Sports Arena for your Spikers Turf 2024, I had a conversation with Ish Polvorosa. He said that he would like to improve on connecting with his Spikers. This conference, he realized that the mental side of being a setter, one of the best ones of the conference at that, is something he continues to improve on. He also expressed being better in terms of listening to his teammates. So as we can see, the King Crunchers have been showing a lot of chemistry compared to last season, and Ish, as the orchestrator of the place, has a lot to do with that. Dip and Ivy.
Thank you, Mika, for that report. Ish Polvorosa, or in what we saw in the screen, Esmilzo
Oh.
Polvorosa.
Siya pa talaga to? Yes, that's the real name of Ish.
Oh, the connection has been tremendous in this
that's
game.
right.
But that's what you like from your setter, to not be settled. Gusto niya to keep improving with his distribution of the ball with his teammates.
And he's actually doing a good job in distributing the ball, and it shows dun sa individual scores ng kanyang team. So it's well distributed, and that's actually one of the reasons also bakit nahihirapan din ang Navigators in defending. So they're not really sure kung kanino niya ibibigay.
Yeah. And in other times, he chooses to go for the 1-2 as well. Diba?
That's
Kaya
right.
niya pumuntos. 6-point lead for the King Crunchers. And another block. Nagkakahawaan na even Almendras joining in on the fun. Timeout called by the Navigators.
Gawin ko paraan. Alam niyo naman, naka-organize na yung block eh. Pwede nyo ginawa ng paraan, di tayo usad. Hoy. Layo-layo niyan eh. Nawala na kayo ng loob.
Hey, let's go, Nabi!
Check this out. The previous play, but we heard the timeout. Coach Del Moro saying to his players, they have to change their body language. This is not yet done.
That's right.
San Andres, checked by Polvorosa. Dayan Dante goes back to Barbie. This time scores off the block.
Second time for Barbie. Off the hands of Ish.
Service short for Mads Gampong. Coach Del Moro visibly worried about this game slipping out of their hands. 11 excellent sets for Ish Polvorosa off the bench. Adao bumps it. Back to Barbie. Easy over. Pepito picks it up. Ish to Glorioso. What a hit.
Excellent setting as well by Ish Polvorosa. Let's take a look at that once again. You know, the connection that they have really, that's one thing that you will really notice. You know, blockers challenging that as well from the side of the Navigators. Service ace.
Everything going right for the King Crunchers. From their attacks to their blocking to serving. Nine-point game. Pepito again with a good save. Almendras on the off-speed.
reading the defense of the Navigators very well, the variation. And I guess, you know, the experience you can see. Not all are hard hits.
And Dante back sets. Picked up by Garcia. They go to Almendras. Adao. Steady save. Jude. That's a double contact called.
So lucky break here for the Navigators.
And I think from his hands, touched his shoulder right after, or arm. So double contact called. Huge 9-point lead for the King Crunchers. Polvorosa. Oh, tried to be crafty on a one-hand set. They have room to experiment.
Very, very comfortable lead here for the King Crunchers.
That is out. So we go to the second technical timeout. Score is 16-7 in favor of Criss Cross. Your favorite NBA superstars on NBA TV Philippines now available on Signal Play app. Download the Signal Play app on the App Store and Google Play Store and subscribe now to catch all the action this new NBA season. Ongoing right now, week 1 of the newest NBA season. And the head coach of Savoj Spin Doctors with their big win against Signal last Friday. Nur Siddiq will score.
This is the activation that we're looking for in the side of the Navigators. So pretty much, I think, you know, it's safe to say na talagang basang-basa na rin ng wing hitters or wing attackers na itong the Navigators. So they got opportunity to play around with combinations.
Glorioso will score off the block. Demi Bagalay will replace Gian Glorioso. Well-deserved rest for having an excellent game.
They've just been very busy at the net.
Himzon gets one. Ish had to chase. Intal unable to get that through.
Ten serving 17. I think that was about to sail out.
Big block.
Another block from the King Crunchers.
They have built a wall this entire game.
That was Jude Garcia who denied the attack of Mads Campong.
Camposano tried to make do with that. but didn't have enough space. They go to Gampong. Nailusot. But Asigan was not ready for that. So the Navigators still getting some points in. They are down by 8 still. Ish goes to Intal. Then Dante, a bit tight. Ends up as a chance ball. Polvorosa tosses.
Oh, but the net violation error. So another free point here for the Navigators.
Back-to-back scored by the Navigators. Down by 7. Let's take a look at what happened there. Slipping the net. Papabawiin. It's a violation.
A lifting violation called up against the Navigator. No, sorry, the Criss Cross Crunchers.
A rare lifting violation on that set by Almendras. That will get this timeout from the King Crunchers.
Malit, T-Rex. Running. Okay. Okay, tapos tayo. Di ba tapos? Maganda ka.
Ikaw lang. Ano na sa atin yun?
Meditation. Get 1 point at a time.
Naiinip.
20.
Down ulit.
Astong, bye.
Wala na time lang tayo. Wala tayo pag may pumalo.
So, tamang kilos ulit ha. Sana po.
Hey, Viscos!
Timeout called by Criss Cross. Been a while since they had to call a timeout. But Coach Tai wants to make sure that they stop the bleeding. Better defense for the Navigators, and that one doesn't drop in. Lucky break for the King Crunchers.
But it was good intention though for Barbie, trying to go down the line, looking for that corner.
Oh, nalunod. Wayne Simpson, no connection there with Dayan Dante. This time it's their turn to call for a timeout.
Gawin nyo. Pag nagdadalawang isip talaga, malapit tayo sa error. Awkward yung set, tulak lang, kunin sa blocking. Malayo pa yan, guys. Kapitan yan, kaya yung kapitan yan. Tiwala lang sa sarili. Sige. Go. Hey, Nabi. Go.
Well, it's not going to be easy, but definitely not impossible for the Navigators. But first, of course, they just have to give a good pass from this service by Jude Garcia, who has been serving very well.
Yeah. A lot of powerful hits. Speaking of power, Himzon putting some strength on that one. Polvorosa goes to Intal. Picked up. Then Dante goes to San Andres. It's out.
Well, they're calling for a touch. Yes, there was a touch. Ish admitted to that. Once he realized they're calling for a challenge.
And Jiga will see action for the first time in this game to replace Rex Intal.
So just a 6-point advantage now for the King Crunchers.
Chu had 6 points in that game against VNS. Marasigan off the block. Oh, quickly, Glorioso re-enters. Quick stint for Injiga and Bagalay. Criss Cross 3 points away from taking this match. It's Rex Intal on deck to serve. Oh! Another block. We're trying to figure out if it was...
It seemed like it was Glorioso who had a hand at that block. But you know, the plays of the Navigators have become pretty much predictable already for the King Crunchers. So while they're very good blockers, it's getting easy for them to read already.
Saradong sarado. Almendras with the offhand to put the King Crunchers at match point. Nursidik able to score one for the Navigators. Still down by 8 points. You would expect Ish, if they could have that connection with Glorioso, they are talking for this final point on this runner.
And he does give it to Glorioso.
Oh, but it's not yet in. Play continues. Almendras will end this one. And the Criss Cross King Crunchers get their second win here in the 2024 Spikers Turf Invitational Conference. Final play. Nico Almendras getting that one to drop. And the win for the King Crunchers. As we await both teams at center court. What a game. Perfect for Criss Cross. Another straight set victory for them.
That's a very good start, very strong start for the King Crunchers, and that's how you would like to keep it, you know. And then I think, again, you cannot really be complacent with any of the teams that they're competing here in this tournament.
They will happily take this one. 25-18, 25-14, 25-16 for the Criss Cross King Crunchers. No rust even after that 11-day break for them. The Navigators will drop down to 1 win and 2 losses in the tournament. So we'll be showing some highlights and the rest of the games, or the rest of the highlights in just a bit, but we will take a short break. We'll be back to wrap this one after this.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf 2024, and right now I am joined by the best player of this match, who is Gian Glorioso. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This match was about your collective effort on points and on blocks especially, but you did well yourself with 14 points and 8 blocks. What did you think about this match?
I'm only able to do my job because I know that my teammates can do their jobs properly. I wholly trust them to pick up the slack on where kung saan di ko kaya, which is defense, reception, also sa receive. So collective effort talaga. Parang we're able to do our jobs individually kasi we trust each other to do kung ano yung na gawin yung kailangan gawin ng isa't isa.
Right. You talked about your teammates. One thing that we really noticed tonight was your chemistry, your connection, and credit to Ish, for being a really good one tonight. How are you guys so far in the practices?
Definitely, we're always practicing hard every day. Alam namin na kung ano man yung darating sa game, we know that we're prepared for it. Alam namin na no matter what, na kaya namin palabasin yung mga pinaghirapan namin. That's
all right. Gian, meron ka mga gustong batiin?
I'd like to greet my family and of course yung family ko rin who watched. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Once again, the best player of this match is Gian Glorioso. Balik sa inyo, Dip and Ivy.
There you have it, the best player of the game, Gian Glorioso, with a glorious game, earning Player of the Game awards here. And let's take a look at the highlights of what happened there in that match, Ivy.
Well, pretty much in set number 3, it is still the King Crunchers in control. It was an exchange of points at the start, but then, King Crunchers scored 4 consecutive points. And again, back-to-back blocks. So those, blocking talaga has this effect kasi on the block, on the attackers of the opponent. So as we take a look at the numbers, both these teams have equal points when it comes to attacks, but 9 big block points for the King Crunchers in the third set alone. So this definitely has exceeded the output that they've had in the first game. 1 service ace, and a good job again to both of these teams in minimizing the errors in the third set. The Navigators, they really had a challenge or a hard time going up against the King Crunchers. But I think at some point in the game talaga yung parang nakita mo na rin sa body language nila, parang it's really they're not as motivated, they're not as parang eager, as they were in the first 2 sets.
As you mentioned, those blocks have a tendency to deflate your opponents, and that's 19 total blocks for Criss Cross in this game against the Navigators. On top of everything that they did perfectly in this match. Our games will continue, as mentioned earlier, on Wednesday. Still here in the same venue, Signal will face Martelli Meats for the first one, followed by the Navigators versus PGJC Navy at 6 p.m. for that Wednesday doubleheader. But for now, we say goodbye after this Sunday triple header. A while ago, LaSalle winning, FEU getting their 3rd win, and Criss Cross winning in straight sets over the Navigators. For our courtside reporter, Mika Pisamis, my partner, Ivy Remulla, this is Zip Dipiaco saying thank you for watching the 2024 Spikers Turf Invitational Conference, where power meets passion.